natural rhythms, those astrological cycles, are inherent in the time code cycles? It's a great question. And we cannot separate an astrological cycle from a cycle of war and peace, or a cycle of in our personal lives. And I want to emphasize that this works in our personal life. I give an example in the book, and people can go online and do this. If you can pinpoint the age in your life when you had the first experience, the seed event of either joy, abundance and success, or hurt and loss and betrayal, or any other emotion for that matter. But if you can pinpoint those things, you will see it will calculate when those conditions will repeat again and again and again, and they take into account, because they are natural cycles, they take into account the astrological cycles that I think you're asking me about. While you don't enter them into the calculator, they're inherent in the calculations.
Right. Yes. So the choice point, I liken a choice to choosing between, if you want to focus on love, if you want to have a harmonious, if you want to choose for seeing things, a good outcome, you know what I'm saying? Or if you're choosing for seeing the worst possible outcome. Do you hear what I'm saying? Is that what you're...
The choice, the question is, how do we choose? And knowing that the choice point is there is one thing. The second part is how do we make the choices? And this is the secret that's locked into some of our most sacred and cherished spiritual traditions that we find in their, I think, the purest form. In the monasteries and in the indigenous traditions, in the Andes and the desert Southwest and the Aboriginal traditions, these people have preserved a way of being, an inner experience that helps us adapt to the changes in our outer world, and it's all about a heart-based experience. So what our own science now is telling us is that the human heart is the strongest generator of electrical and magnetic fields in the human body, much stronger than the brain. And when we create experiences inside of our bodies, like appreciation and care and gratitude, when we create those kinds of experiences, what we're really doing scientifically is we're setting up electrical and magnetic fields that tip the scales of balance in our favor. But we don't have to know the science to do that. When we make the choices, so when we choose to empower conscious corporations, for example, conscious ways of doing business, when we choose to empower people in politics that are speaking for us and are carrying our values into the political system, those are ways. Conscious media, when we recognize that movies are more than entertainment. Our own scientists now are telling us that the images we surround ourselves with in film and media and entertainment, those images tend to become the reality that we experience. Yes. So we have to ask ourselves, if we surround ourselves with frightening, scary movies of 2012 and global destruction, are we actually setting up the conditions for the very things that we don't want? And this is why it's important to give ourselves alternative images of an enlightened world and a powerful new way of living in our world as a cooperative family rather than warring nations. It's important to do that because the studies are showing that those images become the seed for the realities that we experience. So it's about consciously choosing where we place our focus and what it is that we support in our world. And this is something everybody can do every moment of every day. So it's the inner work that you share so gracefully and so lovingly in your program and others like this. That's one piece of it. The inner work, knowing that our heart-based emotions actually influence fields that sustain life on this planet. That's important. And then it's also about making the choices in everyday life, the systems that we rely upon, making the choices for those systems that are sustainable in our lives. Locally grown produce, for example, instead of, buying food from your local organic farmer, and instead of buying food from, a big conglomerate halfway around the world that's been irradiated, all the enzymes are dead, and it took, 48 hours to ship it to you. Those are choices that we can all make, and we know that the locally grown organic food is alive, it's healthy, we're better beings for it, and by buying that, we support people locally, and we influence local economies, and encourage that kind of sustainability. So it's simple choices like that.
Yes, I think it's beautifully put.